Hola or hello. That was my Elvis impression. Or Gesundheit, isn't it? How do you say hello in German?
Well, hello. It's just hello.
Hello
Yeah.
or
Hello.
hello.
Gesundheit is bless you.
That's right. Oh, hello or hello. One of those.
Yeah.
Welcome to the What Did You Think podcast, episode
19.
19.
I'm pretty sure.
Let me check. Episode
Let's
19.
go.
Yeah. Cameron, we're getting pretty close to the Oscars. They're
Uh,
tomorrow, aren't they?
yeah.
That is crazy.
hmm
Are you excited?
I am thrilled.
Do you have any plans for the Oscars?
Nothing
Well, I do.
exciting.
Let me go get something.
While you're gone, I'm going to explain that we are actually having an Oscar party. Ah, there it is.
We got it.
What is it? What is it for?
So I don't know how the audio is right now because this doesn't work.
Just pick up
Um.
the mic you do use.
Oh yeah. So this is a fake microphone that we bought. For the simple fact that I'll be hosting the event that we're naming after one of our friends. He didn't pass away. We're just naming it after him. Um, so new name pending, possibly, unless
I
he
don't
does
see why
die.
to change it.
I mean, if he dies, then we lucked out. Then it's like actually good. But I mean, either way, uh, that's terrible to say. Either way, um, I'll be hosting the event. We're having a black tie event. Um, and yeah, so this is the host microphone and whoever's like presenting awards because we have two awards that you can win or that we can win. You guys can't win anything, but yeah. So and of course the winners will get to say their speeches in the microphone. And a funny thing about this is it's weird. So they made it to where it's like, oh, you can put batteries in it. Like, no, it's just super hollow. It goes up to the microphone lid. Like you can unscrew it even, and it's just yeah. So it's oddly like really well made for a fake microphone.
Yeah.
So um but enough about that. What movie are we doing this week?
Well, that's where this here spinner comes into play because we have
Oh
we have two more Oscar nominated movies that
yeah.
we are going to review. So, without further ado, here we go.
Are the nominees. It, did you spin it yet?
Yeah.
Whoa, that just was going on for a long time.
Yeah. There we go.
Woo! All right, all right, all right. Well, no messing around. We got to get to the next Oscar Best Picture nominee, which is All Quiet on the Western Front, directed by Edward Berger, uh, Berger. So I mean, it's probably like Berger or something like that.
Yeah.
Uh, and it stars. Bear with me here. Uh, Felix Kammerer, Kammerer, Albrecht Schuch, um, Aaron Hilmer, and Moritz Klaus, alongside many others, and Jake Gyllenhaal. No, he's not in this. I
Oh,
don't know
you got me
why.
there.
This is a recreation of a book. It's an adaptation of the book, but in its original language of German. As some of you film smarties out there might know that uh All Quiet on the Western Front, the first one came out in like what, the 50s,
The 30s.
30s, something like it. It was a long was a long time ago. So yeah. Either way, it came out in the 30s. And
1930 exactly.
did it win? And were there any even award shows back then, or was it just
Yeah. It was like the third movie to win Best Picture, I think.
yeah? And will it make history? We don't know, but it is a same story. Spoiler alert, I guess if you've seen the first one, it's the same story except it is just done in its original language, which is German. And Netflix does this weird thing for me where it starts every show same thing like Squid Game. I watched like the whole thing in English, and I just thought like I didn't know how to change the language at first, but luckily with this I've grown in smartness.
You've
And
found the wonderful invention that is Google, and you've
yeah,
learned how to change subtitles.
no, I just had to learn the language.
Oh,
So the movie, I press play and it's playing in English, and it's a war movie, so you're really not like paying attention to the characters' mouths. So I didn't think anything of it until like the first 5 to 10 minutes of the movie pass, and you have characters that aren't fighting that are just talking to one another. And then I hear like some not good dubbing, and then I'm like, oh, okay, let me go to Google here. And then that's when I figured the whole thing out. So yeah.
yeah,
But Cameron, what did you think of this movie?
man. What didn't I think of this movie, Ben? Uh, I don't know why I said that, but this is a really unique war movie, at least for me. And that when you see a war movie, a lot of the time of the ones that I've seen, it's from the perspective of the side that won. The war movies that I'm familiar with are Hacksaw Ridge, Saving Private Ryan, Band of Brothers. I don't think Full Metal Jacket really counts in that group.
Well, I haven't seen Band of Brothers, so don't spoil
I
what
won't. I'm
happens.
just saying that
Okay.
we're following characters
I'm
from
assuming USA wins, but I don't like
you.
as far as
Well,
characters go, I
you
don't
live
want
in a
to.
world that has already surpassed the. I mean, you know the spoilers of the First and Second World War. We'll say that you're not
Yeah,
speaking German
yeah.
right now, so
Right, right.
um, yeah. So what this movie does is it puts you in the shoes of a soldier on the losing side, and it's just going into the movie knowing that fact. This whole movie is really summarized in the first, like, it has a wonderful intro,
Mhm.
honestly. Like that intro by itself could have been a short film that just like got the same themes across. I don't know what all to say at this start because we gotta dive in, so I don't want to say everything, but
Right.
it's
And
just it's an interesting perspective that isn't looked at very much, and it makes me want to see the original.
I think we should say it now that we aren't going to have a separate spoiler section for uh
Okay.
these movies
Oh, right,
because
because there's two of them.
since we're doing two movies. So
Hmm.
if you all we can say right now, our quick spoiler free review is, I mean, I really
Hmm.
liked it and you should watch it. But it's sad,
Yeah.
and I think Cameron would probably agree.
Uh,
But yeah,
Ditto. Yeah.
yeah. So not the Pokemon,
So yeah,
but
if you haven't seen this movie yet and you have seen Elvis, skip to this
Elvis.
timestamp here, and
Uh,
uh, and we'll talk
yeah.
about Elvis.
um, but so the beginning of this movie tricked me. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I thought the character we were following in the first 5 minutes of the movie was our main character. And he dies like
Yeah.
literally after this short segment. And Cameron is right. This beginning part is, excuse me, it's so good, so well crafted, and it really drives the point home to where this is an anti-war picture. It is scary, and you have this young kid fearing for his life, and he has people behind him, like people right next to him that are dying, and they know they're about to die because they're marching right towards this gunfire. And it is uh I think it's tied for the most depressing thing I've seen as far as like war movies. Well, the most depressing thing I've seen in a war movie is Come and See,
Oh,
which
I
is,
don't know if I'll ever watch that, man.
and it's perfect, but it's terribly sad. But Saving Private Ryan and the D-Day scene of the beaches of Normandy, that's a really hard scene to watch because, and just when you think about the history, whatever. We're not going into the history, but we follow this kid. He's scared of dying, and just like, he ends up killing one guy and ends up just dying immediately. But it shows the horrors and the terror of war and what the French side and this German side had to like go through. And especially when you find out what happens at the end, it kind of makes it worse. It does. I would say
does.
I would say so. And but yeah, so let's talk about this movie for a little bit.
All right. I'll clear my plans and we can talk about this movie for a little bit if that's what you
Oh,
want to do,
okay.
right? If that's what you want to do right now.
Yeah, sure.
So the overarching theme of this movie is something we'll get into later. As right now, I think we should talk about more technical aspects of it. Such as
Sorry,
something Ben was about
you.
to say.
I took a deep breath, but
Bro,
no, I'll say my
conversationally juked me out.
I just have weird breathing habits. Go ahead though.
Oh, okay. So like there is like it's very easy, I think, to get a war movie wrong because there's so many moving parts. I really haven't seen a lot of bad war movies, but that's because I haven't really looked for them. It's not really a genre that is the most entertaining. It is very depressing a lot of the times when you're watching it, so it's not something that you want to spend too much time with. But I can just tell by the sheer scale, it's very easy to do poorly. And luckily for this one, it was done well. From a technical aspect, I think all of the camera, the music, all that stuff, it works well and it plays very nicely into the hands of what the movie's trying to say. I do have some minor complaints, but I want to give Ben an opportunity to speak his mind real quick.
Right.
So,
well, I'll say that I think we should expect this movie to win a lot of its technical awards. As far as like, I think sound design, this is a war movie. I think this will win. But it's one of the front runners for cinematography. It's I don't know, it's really good. Reiterating what he said, technically speaking, this film is marvelous, and I would even say like the makeup in this movie is still really good. When like you've got guys diving in the mud and they have to wait in a spot for a very long time, so we see the texture of the mud drying on their face and it looks like cake almost. Cameron said it's like pita from the Hunger Games.
yeah.
That level of good. But it's remarkable to watch this achievement. It's really really spectacular, and the score is also really good and really menacing. It's like super simple, but it reoccurs throughout the film, and it like really, like, when you hear it, it's not good. What's about to happen. I think that's a really good use of score, and I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up winning best score as well. But can I sidetrack a little bit?
Sure.
Speaking of best score, this is so funny. So Sarah and I have the news on last night, and we're watching, and our Indiana news station, you probably know how it goes. It's like, did you know this has some small it's like stupid, like, did you know Adolf Hitler actually had this connection to the Hoosier State? And it's like, it'd be something stupid like that. Not to the scale of Adolf Hitler. I don't know why
Probably
I
not
used
Adolf
him
Hitler. I don't think they'd
as an
want to
example.
broadcast that, but I
But it
get what you
said,
mean. Yeah.
they said, did you know that the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once has a connection to the Hoosier State? I'm like, how does it have a connection to the Hoosier State? What is it? And apparently one of the guys in Son Lux that made the score went to IU and graduated IU for music. And during quarantine, he was at his house in Indiana and made the score in Indiana. So you guys are welcome. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, without
we're
us,
we're
really,
we're peeling back the curtain. We never went to California.
we
I don't
never
even
went
know what
there.
that is. All right. It's just
We've never
here
been there.
here in the Hoosier
But
State where all the magic happens.
and honestly, Cameron and I will be there at the 94th Academy Awards
Yeah.
to accept the Oscar if they
I
win it.
remember I
So
remember when I think his name is like Tim. Yeah, Tim from Son Lux, he phoned me up. He's like, "Hey man, just this quarantine's really bumming me out. What can I do to like, get out of this slump that I'm in?" I'm like, "Hey, I got some contacts in the industry for you. By the way, we're talking on 2 ears of corn." And I'm like,
yeah.
"Hey man, listen, there's this small indie film. It's gonna be great. It's called Everything Everywhere All at Once. Listen, they already asked me to be a part of it. I'm busy right now. All right.
We had the podcast we had to do.
We had to plan for the podcast to come out 3 years later. So I'm gonna pass them off to you. Now listen, Tim, I'm putting my name on the line for you. And he was like, "Don't you think this bit's going too long?" And I'm like, "You're probably right. So I'm gonna let Ben have this back." And then Ben picked up his ear of corn and said,
Bye. And then I hung up on him. He was really upset, and I think that was the last time we talked.
"Yeah.
But
So don't expect a thank you to us in the
in the acceptance
Oscars."
speech if
Yeah,
they
that's
win.
probably why it won't happen.
Right. But Cameron, you have some gripes with the
Well, I want you
movie?
to talk first. I want you to say things first because this movie's too good to start off with some bad talk. So,
I agree. Um, I will say it's very depressing. Okay. And I found myself trying not to be attached to certain characters, but certain characters are written well enough for you to enjoy them and like them. And I didn't know it was going to end with, well, spoiler alert, everyone dies. So there's that. But there was a general I really liked, and I enjoy the the messages and the messaging behind uh, on both sides of the film where you know I think we should maybe get into this later because I don't know if you're ready to talk about the message,
I'm
but
ready. I was just giving
sure.
you opportunity to say
I
your
I
piece.
enjoy, not only is it anti-war, but it really does show like just how bad war is. It like you have scenes of these kids dying and just like being scared, crying, throwing up, being super cold, and then it will cut to a scene of these like rich people in a train, and it's like they're discussing if they need to sign a peace treaty with the other side, and these guys are sitting here drinking their coffee and eating their food or whatever in a nice luxurious train, and like they'd have no worry, you know what I mean? They have no fear in the position they're in, and it's like
Right.
frustrating to watch as a viewer because you're like, these guys are just sitting on their butts doing nothing, and you have these 19-year-old 18-year-olds
And
doing.
it's just overall, it's just about how futile war really is and how it really doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter. And just the stubbornness of the people in charge is really what drives the point home. And just this movie finds a way of making you frustrated. And then just when you think it can't get worse, really like making you the most frustrated you can be. Like just it's
Mhm.
crazy. The whole so it's a pretty long movie. It's almost 3 hours long, and you feel it, but not in a bad way, right? Like
Mhm.
you feel it because you're supposed to feel it because these characters are in this situation for a long time.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then right when it's like, oh, that was the last assault. Everything's supposed to be good now. Why is there so much long left? Oh, because in the last 15 minutes of of the war, the treaty's already been signed. Like they just have a like 15 minutes or whatever until the end of the war or whatever. This stubborn general is just like, no, we're doing this. And he just
Send
gets
them in to die.
so many people killed because he just wants to like,
That didn't need to die.
yeah. And
Well,
it's
and when you find out what you find out at the end of the movie is that this Western Front, each assault, these people only gained about 100 yards of territory. So they were only trading about 100 yards each time. No one won this at all. And that's like the worst part about it is that they died for nothing. They really
right.
did. It wasn't like, I mean, granted, these kids probably died for something because if they didn't fight, then sure, the like fringe or the
Well,
Germans would have taken
that's
over.
why
But
it's important to have this movie be from the side of the loser, right?
mhm,
Because if you it's positioned as, obviously, these are the offensive, these are the people going and attacking, and then they're being stopped by the defense. So if you get this from the perspective of the winners, it becomes like a heroic, even if it's like messy, it's a heroic, hey, we stopped the bad guys. For this, the bad guys aren't the soldiers in the fighting. The bad guys
mhm,
aren't the people who die. The bad guys are the people who call the shots and don't think about or don't care about the consequences of their actions
right.
and who it affects. And oh man, it's just the this movie is so good at setup and payoff. Just, like we said before, setting up the whole plot of the movie with the intro character, and then showing these characters as like happy-go-lucky teenage boys ready to do some fighting for their country or whatever, and
Mhm,
then hearing them get talked up and like hyped up to go to war, and then they're there and it's just like nothing that they could have imagined, and it's for no reason. They're
mhm,
told all these reasons that they're going to fight, and it really is ultimately nothing.
right. No, it's truly terrible. It is. And it reminds me of Mulan in a sense, where all of the singing and songs happen in the beginning part of the movie, and as soon as they see the decimation of war at one of the camps, there was no music throughout the rest of the film. And it like it's for each character's realization of how bad war is. And I think it may sound weird me comparing this to an animated Disney movie, but I think Milan is one of the few movies that gets it right. I think it's become a very common thing where war movies are anti-war movies, um where it's like it, I don't even know how to say it, so I probably won't even, and we'll just kind of skip over it. But um like you said, I think it's hard to pull off one of these movies, and I think All Quiet does a really, really a good job at that.
Yeah, something that war movies tend to struggle with, especially ones that try to be anti-war, is the glorification of violence. And
Mhm.
like, how are we saying this is a bad thing if you're making it you're displaying it in a movie, and like movies have to be somewhat entertaining, right? Like, not obviously like, yeah, I can't believe that kid got his head blown off, but like they have to be compelling. And so
Right.
you have to make it interesting. And so this movie has to deal with, how do we make this movie interesting? How do we get our point across without making the violence seem like something to be aspired to, or something, man, if I could get in there and just, crack some skulls, but it's like, it's a tightrope walk, and not a lot of movies, are able to walk it very well. I think there's even an argument to be said for that D-Day scene in Saving Private Ryan. Like, there is an aspect of it where it there is an aspect of awe that is put into filmmaking. And
Mhm.
so I think this movie takes time to really engross the audience in the terrible, terrible, terrible aspects of it. Because for every scene where there's guns ablazing and explosions going everywhere, there's like three scenes where they're just sitting around talking, and there's like yellow teeth, and they're just wounded and they're just festering. And the it it it's really making it into the ugly scenario that it was. So, but having said all that, I think the CGI can be kind of bad in some scenes.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. Um it's unfortunate because this is a pretty expensive movie. Like its production design is really good. It's like I think I don't know. I like Babylon's production design, but this is one I wouldn't be upset if it won. But unfortunately, we get some bad CGI. We really do. Not it's not throughout. It's not like the whole gist of the movie is it's bad CGI, but like uh, what's the think no, it wasn't. I'm not even saying sentences. There was a scene of these tanks.
That's
Uh,
what I was thinking.
driving over the hill, it seemed
There's a scene where someone gets run over by a
odd.
tank,
Yeah,
and it looks
slow motion almost. It's
so
like
so out of place because everything else is grounded in such realism. When like the CGI blood starts splurting places, it's like, what am I watching? Is this like the George Lucas cut or something? Like
the George Lucas.
All Quiet on the Western Front 1999 special edition, like
The All Quiet on the Western Front holiday
holiday
special.
special. Yeah, I don't. But that is a very minor complaint because it doesn't happen a lot, obviously, and it really doesn't take away from the utter devastation you feel. And so I have a question for you, Ben.
No.
And with that, we're going to move on to Elvis. No, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So me and you both equally completely trashed Triangle of Sadness
Yeah.
because of its overt and on the nose messaging. This movie also has overt on the nose messaging, but we are saying the exact opposite. How does this
Right.
movie get away with it? How does this movie succeed where Triangle of Sadness fails?
Well, it's not because we agree with the message, obviously, or disagree with the message. Well, at least with at least with All Quiet on the Western Front, I had people who I could root for. I had like characters I could get behind and like hope for them and like watch them and like and like I had someone I could root for. Whereas with Triangle of Sadness, everyone's terrible in the movie. And it when you have it's like a rom-com making both uh people terrible people. And it's like you don't care what happens to them. With Triangle of Sadness, I had no care in the world of what happened to any of them. Uh but with this, I cared a lot for all of these people. And I think that's one of the big reasons why I think this works and it doesn't. It's not with messaging. I think it's simply with how the movie is made and its writing of script.
Yeah. I agree on a certain level where it is a lot. I mean, there's no other way other than just in the execution of it where somehow, I've used tightrope walk already today, but there's that tightrope walk you have to make of like with your symbolism and with the things that you show because there is a scene in the movie where the general that everyone's supposed to hate, he's in his big golden chair talking about lineage, and then they keep cutting back to the war and he's like taking small sips of wine and then spilling it all over the floor, and like he's very obviously, this is me, the guy you're not supposed to like in the movie, right? Also, he looks like Dr. Eggman from Sonic. um and it's so I'm trying to think, why does that work for me? And first of all, you're right, there is just a better movie surrounding it. And second of all is because I think it's just, it doesn't, the movie shows it as more of a matter of fact, like this is something that's going on right now that we need to think about. I want to convey this to the audience as a message that I'm trying to tell people. Triangle of Sadness to me feels like somebody who thinks they're like everything they have to say is the next best thing that no one's ever heard before. I don't think All Quiet is trying to be like, guys, I'm the first movie to ever talk about this kind of thing, right? But they just talk about it in their own special way. Triangle of Sadness really does seem like they think they just discovered the secret to all of society's problems, and now they're going to let you know why you're wrong. I don't know. I feel like that doesn't really answer my question in a satisfying way, but it's just the vibe, dog. It's the vibe, man, of the movie. It's just it's there seems to be made with a lot more care and a lot more of like a, you know, the movie's not
Right.
talking to you, it's trying to like discuss with you. You know what I don't, yeah.
Maybe.
Sure. I think I'm running out of things to say.
Yeah. Um, this is I'm gonna say the runner up for Best Picture. Um, I think Everything Everywhere has this in the bag. So yeah, those are its Oscar. I wouldn't be surprised if
Oh,
All
right, the
Quiet.
Oscars. It has up for 9 Oscars. Let's go over those real quick.
Yeah.
Uh
Best Picture.
no.
I don't think so, but I think it's runner up. I think it's second place.
But that being said, it does have one absolutely in the bag, considering it's the only international feature film up for Best Picture. That means it wins that category.
They need to fix it by nominating more foreign films. Now, hear me out, because Decision to Leave is so robbed, and so is RRR.
Mm-hmm.
And I think arguably, absolutely, Decision to Leave should be nominated for Best Picture. Okay, hands down, and arguably should win. But
I was putting my hand down, like you said, hands down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
RRR should have been nominated for anything, just anything.
I mean, it got nominated for what it's going to win, but it should have got other stuff. Yeah,
I absolutely agree, and I think there's an issue with the Academy Awards where they're almost afraid to over nominate foreign films. It just seems odd to me. It's like we're gonna only allow every year. We're only gonna allow one foreign film to make it in. Drive My Car. You guys can go. It's like, why are we so afraid to get other? You know what I mean? Because
that's
frustrating.
That's just another problem with how the Academy runs their thing. Why do countries only get one submission?
And we have like a billion.
That's so stupid.
Like tons.
Right. But
that's frustrating. So, but also I'm sure these, like, we're not the first people saying this, but yeah, Decision to Leave is so.
I'm pretty sure we're changing the game with this.
No, but it's frustrating when you do see these incredible movies getting snubbed.
Yeah. Do you think Decision to Leave is better than this?
Oh yeah. Decision to Leave is like, I want to say, like, it's a top 3 movie of the year, but I think Decision to Leave is one of my favorite movies of all time. I have it as like one of my favorites on Letterboxd. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Makeup and hairstyling.
I don't know who's gonna win that. Probably Elvis or The Whale.
Elvis. I think it's Elvis. Shout out Carson Runquist, just uploaded an Oscar video today. He convinced me. He convinced me this. He said, I was thinking The Whale, but then he said The Whale only has one real use of it. Elvis is like a whole thing where pretty much everyone in the movie is influenced by this in some way. Right. So yeah. And Ben is right. He does have the PETA makeup. Wow. I don't think that's enough to take it in to the Academy's Hall of Fame. Original score, I think this could take it. I do.
Oh yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think it's between this and Everything Everywhere.
Yeah, and I for some reason, like, I don't have any real reason to back this up. I just feel it in my gut. Everything Everywhere won't get that.
I agree with you. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they gave it to John Williams or Justin Hurwitz for Babylon, because those are two. John Williams especially.
John Williams just use it as a paperweight at this point. Like,
he
doesn't need another one.
But one of the Hall of Famers for scores. It's maybe. Like whenever he's nominated, you can assume.
I wonder how much Hall of Famer stuff like Steven Spielberg, John Williams is going to go on this year, because it feels like we're trying to, like, the Academy is trying to push Hollywood into a new direction, like Parasite, all that stuff. It trying to move forward.
Kind of. If I think they're there. I think it's just there to check boxes. I think it's still old school. I think they're going to allow.
I think there's an upward trajectory. I do think you're right. If it was all hip to the jive, Nope would have gotten something. But
VFX, bro. Yeah. Score. Editing. Best Picture. Sorry. I'm sorry.
You're good. It's okay. Best sound. It's either this or Top Gun. Those are
and Top Gun. I would not be surprised if Top Gun won. Top Gun sound achievement is so good.
That's actually what I have winning, is just Top Gun. Loud movie is loud. It's really good, but that is really the Academy's criteria with that.
Loud. But also, All Quiet's the war movie. Are we gonna see the war movie lose?
But here's the deal. War movie that's against war, or war movie that's for war. Okay. Top Gun is like, please bring on the war. I want to fly plane. So
yeah, Top Gun makes war look cool.
Yeah. Visual effects. Nope.
No, not at all.
No, that's Avatar.
That's Avatar.
Even if Avatar wasn't in the running, this still would not win.
Right.
Adapted screenplay, nope. That's still going to Women
No.
Talking in my book.
I have Women Talking winning too.
Yeah, it's in the title. Come on. The women do be talking.
True.
Adapted screenplay
You already just said that.
is I was just rounding it out, the last two Oscars that they had were cinematography, which it could take. It could, honestly. You think?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what's nominated. I don't think enough of the voters are going to see Bardo, and I don't
Yeah.
think enough of the voters are going to see Empire of Light.
Mm,
And what else is nominated? We have All Quiet, Bardo, Empire of Light, Top Gun Maverick,
probably.
and what else?
Elvis and Tar.
Elvis.
If Elvis wins,
Hear me out. I think Elvis has an interesting shot. It would be the
we
first
should talk
women.
about that later.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Stick
And
around after this to hear what we think about Elvis.
I don't think Tar will win.
Me neither. For the reasons I gave in the Tar episode.
Right.
So check that out. Also check out our Everything Everywhere video. It did really well. And let's just keep the hype train going.
Did it do really well?
It did do really well. It was like like for like one of our highest viewed videos.
Dude, our
Like
fan,
for
you guys are the reason we do this.
yeah, for as long as it's been out. Yeah, it's been out for 3.5 days and it's at 37 views.
Oh, we're popping off.
Yeah. Anyway, and finally, production design. It could take it.
Yeah. Yeah. I
It
think
could.
Babylon should win.
It's a tough fight. I still have interesting theory. I think Avatar might have a shot just because I have no idea why it's on there. And I don't think it would be on there if it doesn't win.
From who I've been watching, I hear Avatar is a solid shot at winning it.
Yeah, but I don't know how it gets a production design thing for being like entirely CGI.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Who accepts it? Is it the VFX artist or the guys that had the idea
Spider.
to make it? Yes,
Spider.
it's Spider.
Yeah.
If it wins Best Picture, he's the only one that goes up there and accepts the Oscar.
And he's just like doing it in like the Navi language, like,
and he's wearing his like
loincloth.
like crawls up there. He just grabs it and walks away.
Yeah.
He does like an insane speech.
Sometimes it's good not knowing who your dad is.
Sometimes it's good winning.
Yeah. All right. Let's I want to see if we can even spin the wheel when it's just one thing.
Can you?
Yes, you can, which means
right. What's the next movie, Cameron?
Who knows? Hold on, let me share my screen so the viewers are involved. All right, are we ready?
1 for the money, a 2 for the show, a 3 to get ready and
don't
go.
Fall subject to the ads from Google. What is this? It doesn't matter. It does not matter.
I'll sing again. 1 for the money, a 2 for the show, a 3 to get ready and go, cat, go, don't you step on my blue suede shoes. I'm just kind of hoping, bro, why does it spin so long? What if it lands on that white line?
Then we still hit Elvis. I don't think there's anything else for it to pick.
I'm on the edge of my seat here. Come on. Oh.
It hasn't picked yet. There we go.
There we go.
Had to think about that one.
Nice.
Well, Elvis, directed by Baz Luhrmann, stars Tom Hanks and Austin Butler, and a billion other people. So, Ben, what did you think about this trailer of a movie?
This trailer of a movie. That's so good.
That one goes to my mom. That was her idea.
I thought it was insane. For I feel like all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
it became more like, okay, I take back what I said about Everything Everywhere, where I said it was made to win awards. The movie was just extremely well made, and it's getting like accommodated for its hard work. Elvis feels like a movie that was made to like win editing. Like, you know what I mean? They're like, hey, we should go for best editing, guys. Let's just throw a bunch of jump cuts, a bunch of just cuts in general to random stuff. And we're gonna have Elvis break frame. Let's play some Doja Cat in here too. I think everyone's gonna love this.
There are so many baffling choices in this movie.
It's interesting. It's like, um, this movie's like, it feels like we got a bunch of memers and made it. Well, I don't know why, but it seems like this was a movie that I would find on Reddit, and like it would be the same quality.
What this is, whoa, I gave it, not saying numbers, but I think I gave it too high of a rating.
I
Anyway,
know you did give it way too high of a rating.
I mean, I'm just barely above yours, so don't go crazy. Way too high.
I don't
Anyway,
even remember what I gave it. I think
this
when I hold on, I think when I rated it on Letterboxd, I didn't see the movie yet, so I just took the average of what I was seeing and just
why?
took it there because this is when I was like starting my my Instagram account, and I people were asking me what I thought of the movie. And I said review coming soon. So I reviewed it on Instagram of like just some stuff I was hearing because I was gonna go see it, but I got sick when my
Wow.
showtime was, so I never got to see it. Though
Can
I
you
will
pull
say
up can you pull up what you said about it, having not seen it?
I stand by everything that I said about said in it now. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Um, but I feel like I recall me saying pretty vague things. We'll see here. Give me just 1 second. And to scroll all the way down. Okay, look at my incredible. This is why I don't edit the thumbnails for the video. In my defense, though, the poster is kind of hard to work with. So this is what I say. Um, Elvis, directed by Baz Luhrmann, is a biopic. Wait, hold on. I should just scroll down when I start talking about it. When I first heard about this movie, I could have sworn that it was going to be bad. It seems like we already have 30 different movies or shows about him that he has acted in, but I can proudly say that I was wrong. This movie is actually pretty good. Now, yeah, these okay, hold on. Now, yeah, these are quite there are quite a few things I dislike about this, and I'll save that for later. Immediately, I must point out Austin Butler, who plays Elvis. He is phenomenal within this film. He somehow made me forget who I was watching. You could tell he had a lot of fun in this role. He legitimately transformed into Elvis, and for every second he was on screen, I had a huge smile on my face. Now, as far as Tom Hanks, yeah, he kind of sucked. Tom Hanks is considered one of the best actors of all time, and rightfully so. But he has just been on this awkward downfall on taking either bad roles or just showing up for a paycheck and putting in 50%. Another thing I absolutely loved in this is the visuals in this film. The use of colors are so well done, and it helps take you to a different world. Cinematography and editing are fantastic as well. Okay, hold on. Let me scroll
I
down.
stand by everything that I
Okay, hold on. Let's see. I'm adding this because I forgot to write it in previous. Oh, the hair and makeup are very good as well. All right, now I do have some complaints. First of all, there are several plot points that I just felt that were left open by the end of the film. I don't know if that's true or not, Ben. Um, and because so it causes the film to, it's very fast and it feels very messy. And with the 2.5 hour runtime, you can definitely feel it drag. Uh, Another weird thing is that they mention racial injustice in the film, but they never dig deeper into it. I was hoping they were going to dive into it, but it just is brought up here and there. Another and final thing is the choice of music. Yes, okay, and I go on a rant about Doja Cat. So, well, after seeing the movie, I kind of disagree with my review.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I haven't changed it on Letterboxd. Um, Shoot, yeah. So, a few things we can learn here. Watch the movie before you review it.
I thought that was
Um,
a given, honestly.
but okay, I don't like the editing in this. I do not.
You know
Um,
when you're on YouTube and you get an ad before your video, and it's like there's like an ad before the ad, and it's like
mm,
so that they can get all the main points of a trailer in before the 5-second skip ad button shows up. They like
yeah,
do a
yeah.
super mini trailer. This entire movie feels like that.
It's so a few things I agree with old Ben here is that it feels so fast and so messy. You know,
Yeah.
it's it feels like this is trying to be an Edgar Wright movie and does not do a good job at. Like when I think of because it has the style of what you think Edgar Wright, because Edgar Wright does a lot of this stuff. Okay, would you agree? Well, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, I think, is a great example
I
of
mean, he
this.
does it
Where
better. Yeah.
yeah, well, and why does it do it better? I think because the editing works within the film itself, and it's a part of the film. You know what I mean? Whereas this is not an Elvis movie with with like uh what's the word I'm looking for? Modern editing, I should say. I guess if you can even say that. Comical editing. It's like it works for Scott Pilgrim because it's like with and it works with Scott Pilgrim. Scott Pilgrim is working with the editing, whereas with this, Elvis is there and then there's the editing. And you and some of you stupid idiots are gonna say, well, actually, Elvis does play with the editing a lot because he's throwing guitar to himself in other frames. Shut up. That was on the nose, and I threw up when I saw it. Okay, no, but so I watch it, and Sarah's watching it in the basement. I come downstairs, and it's on the like one of the final like gibbets where it's like 5 minutes of constant like comic squares, and he's throwing the guitar, and it's insane, and like the screen's falling over into another frame. I'm like, just chill, relax, and stop talking, idiot. Uh, so hold
Those are
up.
harsh words.
I Oh, is this thing on? No, sorry, I went on a tangent.
I
Um,
mean, that was very related. It's
but
your
honestly,
opinion.
listening to me talk though, that's kind of what the movie's like. Not gonna lie.
Listen. I'm gonna make another comparison, one that I think actually is a little bit more accurate. This feels like those scenes in heist movies where they're explaining the plan and doing the plan at the same
And the
time.
plan, it's like the Ocean's
It's like
plan.
Ocean's 11 or Bad Guys,
I haven't seen either of those.
should have been nominated for best animated feature. Anyway, it's like, so the reason that that happens is so you get from point A to point B quick enough to not be boring, right? If you see something get explained and then you see it then happen, it's like, all right, we technically have all this information already. Why are we still seeing this? So I can understand the point. And also, you're recapping an entire person's life. It's going to take some time,
I get
but
that.
it never gives you time to sit with what's happening. And I think that there's an argument to be made where it's like the fast pacedness, if that's a word, the fast pace of the movie kind of shows how quickly Elvis's life went out of control and how some of the things could have been prevented, yada, yada, yada. I don't think that was what they were doing. I think they were trying to be stylish. And I think that it didn't work out because you never get time to like be in a scene.
Yeah,
You know, it feels like a trailer. It feels like all right, this is what's gonna happen, but you will see that later. And then like 40 minutes into the movie, my mom's like, yo, when is this gonna start? Like,
it's sorry. It's hard to connect with characters when you're doing that too. It's hard for you to invest yourself into the story when you're like constantly being pulled from stuff. It's like you said, it's not giving you enough time to like you're dipping your toe and then you're running over to another pool and dipping your toe into that. It's like
right.
you can never get used to the temperature. And I feel like it's one of the big reasons why I think this movie doesn't work for me is because I don't have time, you know? And for it being a long movie, it's like there should be time there. It's like I'm watching scenes and I'm like, they could have easily taken this out, or they could have easily have shortened this sequence and given us more time with what I cared about the most was the downfall of Elvis. Was I won't say care about. What I was into the most was the downfall of Elvis and him getting into the drugs and him getting uh engulfing himself more into that, like falling into the Elvis part of him
Right.
instead of, you know what I mean, his younger humble self. So, and even with that, it's like we have some good scenes with his wife yelling at him and all this stuff of and like picking up the pill bottles and all that, and it's that's good to watch. but it's frustrating when in order for me to get to this, I have to watch like 14 ads before I can get, you know what I mean? It's like
Right,
watching this
right.
movie. Can you imagine watching this movie with ads?
This is the movie. If like a 89-year-old grandma came up to me and was like, I want to know what it's like to watch TikTok, I would show them this movie because it's just that constant stream of new
Yeah.
things. None of it sits with you long enough to be memorable. Like I can remember the last scene because it's good. Like I genuinely think it's like probably the best part of the movie, and it ends on a high note. Not in terms of a story, but in terms of like
Like musically, I
production.
think he ends on a
Right.
high note.
But
Dude, come on. I laugh at all your dumb jokes. I'm
no,
just
dude,
saying.
I'm just soaking it in. I'm just soaking it in, and I'm appreciating that for what it is. Um,
Okay.
yeah. Anyway, do you want to run that back, or you want me to give a better
No,
laugh?
whatever, idiot.
Yeah, no. Let's run it back. Let's run it back. I think it ends on a high note, but not like in the story.
Right.
Say your line.
Oh, because in music, like musically speaking, he ends on a high note.
Yeah, you got me, Ben. That's another classic.
So dumb.
Anyway,
Ugh.
um, it's just can you remember any scene other than the finale? Like I can remember the events that occur, but I don't remember necessarily like a specific scene. And I'm sure if I thought long enough I could, and I might, and like,
Yeah.
little glimpses. But like there's no like there's nothing that sticks out to me. There's so much of the event, like you can have the same events happening in different ways with different characters in different event like places, and it's like I would not be able to tell. You could show me this movie three different times, move stuff around and change stuff, and I could not remember enough of it to tell you that there was a difference. Like
Mm,
so, this is, I guess, the episode of comparisons. In the last review, we said, "How does All Quiet get away with something that Triangle of Sadness doesn't?" And this, I'm going to say, another movie this year has very fast paced, hectic editing, but it lands, it sticks the landing. How does Everything Everywhere get away with the same, what on the surface looks like the same level of frenetic events, but it's able to tell a compelling, memorable, and understandable story?
right, right. I well, there's a lot, like it's obvious if you've seen the movies. Okay. Everything Everywhere gives us time
Exactly.
with everything. It's like they know what makes a good story. And I'm not saying Elvis's life is boring, but they get us with these the reason it works so well is because we're connected with everything. And it's because we have the beginning sequence without all the craziness. Now we're introduced with, Wayman and I'm blanking now. Evelyn and uh Jobu Tsubaki, all that. We're interested to those main three, and from there we can start adding more craziness. And since we already know these characters, we can start, it's more fun to watch these people go through all these things when you've built it up in the beginning of the movie. Whereas with this, it's like with Elvis, it's like boom, 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 like all the way through from the
Right.
very beginning. So I would say it gives us time, and especially in the middle part of Everything Everywhere, you take a break. You have long segments of different universes with Michelle Yeoh's character getting over her different difficulties, and that's why it works so well. Is it knows when to slow down on its editing and give us the story, and it knows perfectly when to engage us in the fast editing.
Right. It is just a matter of pacing, and like you put it the best way possible, giving us time to sit with what we need to. And I don't imagine a world where there's a version of Elvis that has a its own like rock scene, because I don't think the director would give it time to have one of the rock scenes,
Yeah.
where
Uh,
it's just quiet and sitting on this very important thing, and just like letting us sit there. um so you're right when it comes to editing and pacing and writing. I think those really encapsulate the problems. Is there anything else that you had to say?
Honestly, no. Uh, no. We
Well,
should just talk about its Oscar chances.
before, in a movie that I think does, at least in the early bits, it is able to capture like that feeling of whatever time period it was until some questionable music choices. Do you think Doja Cat was going for an Oscar or something? Like,
No.
why is that in the movie?
First of all, I feel like if anyone is approached by like a film director with Tom Hanks in the movie, I think you're gonna say, yeah, I would. And I have no musical expertise at all. A few things. The song that she did is not eligible because it is a song that already exists.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, it was not
That
eligible
makes
for the
even less
Oscars.
sense then to me.
Um, and because people were upset that Doja Cat's song didn't get nominated, but since it's a song that already existed because it's the sample of Elvis's song, um, then it's not allowed. Which I agree, it makes zero sense. But also, I would just say Doja Cat is interesting. um, I hear she's crazy, in good ways, I guess. But also, I guess if you just ask and you offer a lot of money, I feel like someone would say yeah.
Right, but I'm talking from an artistic perspective. Somebody had to have the idea. In this scene, we're gonna have Doja Cat music in the background. And then somebody else had to be like, yes. So how does that happen?
I don't
Right.
think anyone else had to say yes. I think Baz Luhrmann said we're having Doja Cat music in here, and everyone said okay.
Right. But still, like, okay, so there's this, I don't know if you've ever seen it. There's a movie called A Knight's Tale. And it's like a comedy set in medieval, whatever. It's about a knight. And one of the
Um,
scenes, there's like a ball, a royal ball in a dance in a castle. And they
yeah,
start playing modern music and everyone's dancing to modern music and it's a joke. It pulls you out of the setting. There's castles and dresses and horses, but they're all dancing to modern whatever music. And that is what they did in this, but it wasn't supposed to be a joke. And I don't
it's
understand it.
it's like Monty Python in the Holy Grail. It's but the reason those work is because it's funny. It's because it's a
Right.
comedy, and I don't know why a
And
drama is doing
I
this.
don't I don't think you have to stick to music from an era if you're doing a period piece.
Hmm.
But if you're gonna try to make it so much like the era that it's from and you actually succeed, as soon as that facade is kind of pulled back by introducing this new music, it kind of pulls the audience out of it.
Well, then why does like Guardians of the Galaxy and all these other movies that feature 80s songs, but even though they're taking place in the present day, how come those work more? Is it just because we like those songs, or is it
Well, sometimes it's because the music time and genre doesn't matter, and it's more about what the music's about or how it sounds.
Mhm,
Guardians
right,
of the Galaxy specifically, it's like plot driven, and he lost his childhood. He was pulled out of Earth from the 80s, so that's the only
right,
culture he'll have. But for a movie like Elvis, there's no reason for Doja Cat to really be there.
right?
And
Yeah,
Doja Cat's not the only modern song. Doja, we'd love to have you on. I'm just saying, like, uh,
she's actually Doja.
Hi, I'm Doja Cat, and
um, but yeah, I don't know. It was just a question. It was just a weird choice. And this movie, that's really how I describe this movie. It's just a series of odd choices.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think if you're above, like, I think if you're middle aged, you're not gonna like this movie because I know my mom hated this, my dad hated this, so not really sure who this was made for, but
Fans of Elvis. I mean, it ends strong. I will say that it
yeah,
has a
yeah.
strong
But
ending, and
is it worth sitting through the 2.5 hours to get to that point?
I think Elvis's life is really interesting.
It
I
is.
think
Well, we
this is
didn't.
a great concept for a movie, and I think that's why I gave it such a high rating that you'll have to go to Letterboxd to see. Uh, in the first place, is because it is a captivating story, just told poorly, and story can carry a movie really far. But
Mhm.
I would just love to see this in a better way, because I remember when we were done, my whole family watched this together. When we were done, and we're like, so what did everyone think? And we're like, it was good, but I don't really
Yeah,
understand why it was done the way it was.
yeah. I yeah, I don't know, but I got nothing else to add.
So in terms of Oscars, it's this has some I think this could get some winners. Okay, 8 Oscars. Best picture, no, absolutely not. Hair and makeup, like I said, I think this has it. But
Costume design? I think it has costume design.
just going on the list here, we might, yeah, it does. But best sound,
No.
no, I don't think a movie like this would ever win best sound in a year that a war movie gets made, at least.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, leading role, actor in a leading role.
Possibly.
I think this is the biggest thing giving Brendan Fraser a run for his money, because it's a biopic. The Academy
Mm-hmm.
loves biopics. It's a
Yeah.
newer actor. Um, and this guy hasn't stopped talking like Elvis for like 2 years.
I'm so
So,
excited for him to be in the new Dune movie. He's just gonna be it's just gonna be
well,
space
thank you. Well,
Elvis.
thank you very much for all these space spices. Like,
Space Timothée
guys,
Chalamet.
we need to run away from the space worm.
Zendaya, what are you doing? You've been in the movie for 20 seconds and you can't tell me what to do.
I'm in the dunes.
Dune Part 2 starring Austin Butler. No, it's not your movie, man.
Cinematography, no. I don't even know. I don't know
Maybe.
why this is here.
First woman cinematographer. She could win it. Not she's not the first woman
She's the first
cinematographer.
woman to ever touch a camera.
Ever
That's
touch a camera.
crazy.
She could
How'd she
win.
figure it out?
That like Academy is shocked right now.
Yeah.
It's like, God, look. Uh,
I don't think this gets it at all. Editing, this is the don't look up of the editing category.
yeah,
I
I
don't
agree.
I this is just like it brute forced its way into the category by
Yeah.
just like they just went into the editing software, punched their keyboard 1,000 times, and then turned it in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
It's
production
crazy though that the fact this whole movie was made in iMovie. So I guess you do have to give it props for
iMovie
that.
for mobile. That was pretty impressive.
Just have them dragging. They did it on an iPod 3, which is
Right,
so crazy.
right. I mean, the results speak for themselves. They probably should have went some more modern technology.
Yeah.
Production design. No, I think it's going up against too strong competition. It is a period piece, and
Yeah.
that's always nice, but you got a war movie, you got a Avatar movie,
Yeah.
you got a Babylon movie. It's a Babylon, as even though I haven't seen it, it just fully, you know, that's a period piece, plus it has like major set pieces, you know.
Hmm.
I think the only reason this could have a shot, even though I don't think it wins, the only reason this could have a shot is because the Academy loves their biopics in the sense that they have an actual reference to objectively see if they did a good job or not. And they can just look at recordings of Elvis concerts and be like, does this look like the recording? It does. That means they did a good job, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know, but I still don't see it winning. So yeah, I really think hair and makeup is really the only thing that gets this in maybe best actor, but
And costume design.
I think
Yeah.
Black Panther gets that.
You think so?
Yeah, Black Panther got that for the first
Maybe.
one. And so I think you take that plus the fact that they're adding a bunch, like a whole new civilization and like a bunch of stuff. And like, although I do think Ironheart's costume was bad enough that they could knock it out the running entirely.
Right.
Yo,
Oh.
I don't think they'd give that to like a 90s Power Ranger, but who knows?
Oscars are this Sunday on ABC
Yeah,
at 8
we'll
p.m.
be recording
EST.
a an episode
Live.
that will be up on Tuesday talking about the Oscars. And you know, hopefully it does better than our nominations video, which is I think currently our lowest viewed video.
That's crazy. You guys suck. Get
Yeah.
those numbers up.
Yeah, what are you
Oh.
doing?
Um,
Literally, if you guys don't go fully watch all of our videos right now, there's a playlist for a reason.
that's it.